Well, hello everyone. Welcome to The Boy That Loved, The Boys Love podcast, hosted by me, Dion. Now, this isn't the actual first episode of the podcast. This is what I'm going to call a minisode. I'm still working out the kinks on the structure of the podcast and what I want to do with each of the episodes. But I thought in between, or before I even get started with the actual podcast itself, I will have a little companion series, what you're seeing here today. I already do like these think piece videos on YouTube anyway, so I thought I would just turn it into like small little episodes that will be a companion piece to the podcast. Now I don't know. Actually, you might consider these minisodes like season zero, kind of testing the waters, seeing how it goes. Because the actual seasons of the podcast would be shorter because they will be longer videos. I mean, I might increase the video count. I'm not telling you how many podcast episodes I'm going to make. I'm going to wait till I have each of them like my what's it called? Bulletin board. Bulletin board and having everything I want to talk about in each point and all the things I want to do with it first. But here we're just going to start off with just a small contained version of that. So I hope you guys really enjoy this. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I'll probably film a bunch of these and I'll probably be out more frequently in the next week. So please subscribe, thumbs up the video, the whole nine. And yeah, let's get started. Now for today's minisode, I want to talk about something that I've noticed when it comes to the Boys Love series is that whenever a character in the show is presented as anything remotely antagonistic towards one of the two leads or to the ship as a whole, there's an immense amount of disgust and hate for that particular character. Now, we usually see it in those older series where like the girlfriend was the villain, or sometimes there's like a love triangle, and we already have an end game with our two leads, so the other person shakes up the status quo a bit by being a rival love interest. In some of those cases, it is severe with the hate. Like a lot of the female characters get hated on so bad. I remember Tar and Type. I was talking about this the other day with Shaki here on YouTube about how people were just hateful to that one girl who the character was, I forgot her name, and she was like trying to date Type, and Type was entertaining her, but the character and the actress got so much like backlash and hate and horrid things. But like in the narrative, she's just this girl that likes this boy, and he's showing her he's what's it called showing her feelings back, and you know he isn't to blame for going against the ship, but she is. They call her all kinds of names, say talk about her looks. This is the character and the actress. They went her social media, they were like crazy with it. I don't know if she wasn't in the novel. I don't know what the immense amount of hate was for, but it didn't make any sense. Like, Tar and Type end up together. This is just another story beat. Why are you acting a fool like this? And then again, with a love triangle situation, I'm thinking of Together the series. This happened. I was reacting to Together the series with my fellow YouTubers, and Drake's character decides he wants to, I guess, hit on, flirt with Wynn's character. I forgot the names of the show. And right as I'm reacting, we're all reacting together. They are like cussing him out, yelling at him to get away, and yada yada yada. And I'm like, what is he doing wrong? Well, he's trying to like hit on him, and he's taken. But like in the show's narrative, at that point, they weren't a couple. They weren't even cool with each other at that point. Like they were really on the outs during that time. And I felt like Wynn's character, if he didn't want to be flirted with or like wanted to stop the advances, he could have done that. But then Bright's character came through and was like trying to start fights and physical fights with him, being possessive and jealous. And they were like, yes, beat him up. I'm like, he's not wrong for trying to hit on someone. And then also, what's happening in the narrative, they're not even on good terms for this to make sense. I know people love possessive characters and jealous characters, but to me, it makes the characters seem a bit unhinged and too toxic to deal with. Because we're at school. We're at school and you out here trying to fight, get us expelled. I'm not even with you. We're not even a thing. And you're doing all this? Again, cussing out Drake because but he didn't even do nothing. If he was doing terrible things and like, a very villainous character, I could be like, all right, I see what y'all talking about. He's terrible. Back up. Get away. But he wasn't doing any of those things. And he doesn't know they're not together. He doesn't know he's single. He doesn't know these things. So he's not wrong for, wanting to see what's up with him. But I guess as we're just shipping it so hard that we find the need to like lash out and be, intense about it. Now this whole video came about because of discussion we had about dangerous romance. There was a live, and if you guys didn't know, I go live with Shaki and Alyssa and Kern on Saturdays after we've seen Dangerous Romance and Only Friends. And we were talking about a plot point in the episode. Spoiler alert, if you didn't see the recent episode of Dangerous Romance, we were talking about a plot point where Kang, one of the main leads, his dad, basically his gripe with his father is that his dad doesn't allow him to have any responsibilities. He allows him to co-spy. If he wants something, he'll buy it. He wants him just to do the bare minimum, lay low, and just be fine. Like, be free, be fine, have fun with your friends. Don't study too hard. He's very much that. Now, he is presented very jovial, like he's very just kind of friendly and bubbly for the most part. And there was a time where he wanted to chastise Kang for not studying and playing video games instead, but then Kang kind of like winced and was like kind of shaking and scared. So his dad was like, hey, same old. Oh, don't worry about it. Kids need, time to relax from school. They don't need to do, you don't have to do nothing. And that tells me something. There's something going on why his dad doesn't want to really apply the pressure. And it's very interesting that Kang wants pressure. Like, he needs his father to want to expect something from him and, like, whatever the case may be. I don't fully understand that. Like, I haven't seen that point of view. We've seen stories where characters try to do enough to impress their parents and they're just never satisfied, or them doing what their parents want them to do won't get them any type of love and affection that they might crave for or approval, even though they're doing everything by the books and succeeding in that quest. But this show, he's nothing expected of him, and he doesn't apply himself to do anything that is worthy of being, praised. You know what I mean? But his character wants to prove himself to his father that he's capable of doing things and can rise up to an occasion. It's kind of vague what that occasion might be. Because not like his dad, I think his dad is like in politics, and he has a campaign or whatever the case may be. And Kang isn't trying to be a politician like his dad. So like, I don't know what could he be doing to prove to his father that he's good at, but because he doesn't have anything he wants for himself. But the show is kind of like playing around with him trying to find that. In this episode, he is joining the baseball team. Soccer team. Where do I get baseball from? The soccer team. And he is, doing well, succeeding in it. And he got on the team. But we find out that his dad paid off the coach to allow his son to be on the team in the first place. And obviously Kang is upset by this, and he goes off on his dad, and his dad slaps him and cusses him out back because he was being disrespectful. So he did a low blow. I think he said something like, "You're not good enough," or "good enough." He said something in the lines of the worst thing you could say to Kang in this type of scenario, right? So we get to discussion, and everyone's like, "Oh, his dad is trash and he's terrible," and I'm like, "Is he though?" Because Kang himself pays people off to get by. Like, in the first 3 episodes, he, beat up Otto because his paper he did for him wasn't a high score and he wants good grades, but he doesn't want to apply himself and do the good grades himself. So he's beating up students to get, or paying them off. Either way, beating up or paying them off to get, test questions and their homework done. And he was such an awful bully doing that, which is very interesting because you don't like your dad's doing that, but you did the same thing. I don't understand that. And like, it's not like your character growth that you seem to have at this point isn't being presented to your father. We, the audience, see it in some ways. I don't see it that much, but the audience, it's supposed to imply that he's a different person. Even in that episode, his homegirl was like, yeah, he's doing better now. Like, it was more of a verbal exposition of him growing rather than actually showing us him doing that. And I know you're going to say, well, we saw him studying. We saw a montage of him studying. Yeah, but the show won't show us how far he's come along, him doing, like, him getting good grades and, like, the teacher coming through being like, okay, you doing better now. And, like, none of that stuff is happening in the show. There is one scene where he gets a D and, his love interest is like, you got a D now, no more failing, kind of. He's like, yes. But other than that, and now he's focused on soccer, so that's not even anything anymore now. But, I say all to say this, the fandom is really hating on the father. He's a terrible dad. He's terrible for paying his son's way into soccer. And I'm like, Kang did the same thing for himself just not too long ago. I don't think that was any... I just don't see he's not getting any flack for doing that stuff. And I know people are like, oh, I haven't forgot that he was a bully. He did terrible things, but he seems to be changed behavior. And even with that changed behavior, he's like almost a different character than he was in those first 2 episodes. And we don't know why he was that way in those 2 episodes. And now we're on episode like 8 or 9 now. I think 9 is the next episode, I think. The show wastes so much time kind of having the characters kind of like flirt and do schoolwork and like it's all kumbaya and like there's no real story here that's really consistent. So when you get to the dad, we don't see his point of view because he's not shown that much in the show. We just see Kang's point of view and how he's upset at him. And I guess you can see why people would side with Kang and be upset at the dad because the dad is presented as an antagonist through Kang's point of view. But that's not fair because we don't get the dad's point of view. Because what reason would he have to like want to have his son coast by? Why is he coddling his son so much? And why don't we care? No one cares about that, which I don't understand. Why aren't we trying to figure out why the dad is doing the things he's doing? We don't even know why Kang did the things he did. And I guess we're supposed to take that he's lashing out because his dad pays for him and bought him a bicycle when he wanted a bike. His dad lets him do what he wants. And we're supposed to be like, see, he's lashing out because his dad doesn't expect anything from him. Does that make sense to really rally behind him? He's an awful person, not awful person. He's not an awful person. I'll say that he's not an awful person. He just done awful things multiple times, really bad things. But we're like rallying behind him despite that because he's booed up with the other main character, whose whole storyline was thrown out the window. We shifted focus. They're not co-leads. It's one person is the lead, another person isn't. They're kind of like and then they switched around, which I'm like, this show is so odd to me. It's so odd to me. And I wanted to make this video because I was told this show is so good, and it's absolutely not. Objectively speaking, it is not. Several scenes, even episodes, nothing matters. I said this before, they have like conflicts and little things that happen in certain episodes, but they get resolved as soon as it happens. So we're back at square one. Seemingly, there are some type of character growth with our main characters, but they're barely... You know what? Now I'm thinking about it. What's his name? Salman? Shimon's character. You think he would have a story arc, because he's a character that has to deal with being poor and having debt and having to have multiple jobs, do well in school, and... There's a moment in the show where he gets very intensely manhandled by the debt collectors. And what's odd is right after that, we're not seeing how that affected him. Yeah, maybe he's used to it, and it seemed like he might have been like, oh, this is what happens when we don't pay. But he walks away from that scenario kind of like, and even find out homeboy brought a gun to threaten him. no big deal. You know, I don't understand that. Because what is his story arc? Kang is getting a story arc. I think it's a weird choice to have him, a character like that, have this type of conflict because it's not really relatable and it's hard to feel sympathy for him because the rich kid whose dad doesn't like that doesn't equate to much. If his dad was more of a tyrant, was more mean spirited, was constantly being belittling him, like because he does kind of put him down in a way, but not in a way where he's being mean. At least his tone was never presented mean until this last episode when he got crunk with him and disrespectful. That's when he slapped him and cussed him out. But other than that, we never seen him in that kind of a light before that. So it's kind of weird that Kang's story arc is him trying to overcome and deal with him feeling inadequate because his dad doesn't expect anything from him when he himself has shown multiple times not to apply himself, not to study, just playing video games, skipping out on stuff. It contradicts his feelings and what he wants to do when he does the exact opposite. But anyways, his character, I don't know what, because since they don't have the characters kind of learn about each other and talk about themselves, or we don't get them outside of their dynamic with each other that much. They're just like many stories, like him getting sick or him losing a job just to get it back again, that same episode, or even this episode, he kind of fought with him when he was late to his study session. He kind of cussed him out. I was like, "You're the same as you always been," and he's like, and they went to bed mad. But he found out later on, he skipped practice because he skipped studying because he was at practice, which he shouldn't have skipped studying for the practice because he needed to get his grades up. Like I don't know what's important to the characters. Because Kang's character gets by. Nothing happens, no consequence to his actions. Constantly. From him being very terrible to him being lazy to him whatever. Nothing, it doesn't matter. Nothing, there's no consequences. So, And then Salmon, his character is just catering to Kang. He's just there for him. He doesn't have his own story beat, his own. And I thought when he went to that college episode, that I would have more of a focus on what they're going to do with themselves and their budding romance, but again, it just should focus to one character and the other one's just supporting his narrative. But even though I said all those things, and those are good talking points, I'm glad I'm having enough to talk about in the show. This is information or stuff that's happening within the first 8 episodes. Within the first episode, it's not like it's not happening throughout. It's brought up here and stopped here. It's brought up here and then stopped here. Episode 3, 4, and 5, a bunch of nothing. Nothing mattered. Nothing. We could see 7 and 8. There's a little bit more story beats, but since we had no type of growth, no type of journey for the characters, they're just thrust into this plot that isn't consistent. That's what it is. It's not consistent. Maybe I'm missing something. I think because since there's no true redemption for Kang's past behavior, that's one thing. Shimon's character doesn't have a story arc of his own. Like, I don't know what his goals and desires are, or whatever the case may be, beyond taking care of his family, which is just him and his brother. But they're taken care of now. Consistent income now. So I guess the debt collector situation is resolved. So there's nothing for him to do but aid Kang in his story. But also, what's with his character? I want to know about him because he seems way too passive. But that's not how his character was in the beginning. And also, Kang's character is way too antagonistic, but now he's not. So, like, they kind of switched the characters around. They're different people, and there's nothing that happened that made it make sense for them to be different people. I guess Kang kind of have a guilty conscience now, but where was his guilty conscience before? You physically harming someone and set them on fire wasn't enough to get you to realize we're wilding? When your friends told you not to bring that gun, you weren't thinking like, oh, I'm really doing the most. Let me rethink this. I think this show is very poor storytelling. And I think because they're main characters and there's someone that goes against the character's beliefs, their truth, that we side with them and we think it's a bit more of a, let's rally behind him. But the show didn't give us no reason to. We have no reason to be so against the dad because he's barely shown in the show, save for here and there. And this big moment where there's fighting, I can understand. I don't understand, actually. I can understand the dad wanting to do what he thinks is right for his son. I said I in the live I said he just misguided with it. I think he loves his son and wants his son to have an easy life. And maybe to his detriment, but he's doing what he thinks he can do. It seems, and people are like, "Oh, I agree to disagree with you because I don't think that's the case." But like, well, you're not telling me what reason would he have to be doing the things he's doing, and you can't tell me a reason because the show ain't showing that. And it's not like it's a mystery type of thing where the dad is acting antagonistic or doing things throughout the episodes. He's constantly being shown to be doing shady things. Yes, we do see him a few times telling Kang essentially you can be lazy. So we do see that, but it's done in a friendly way, maybe 2, 3 times only. It's not enough times to be like he's this horrible person because there has to be a reason. It must be a reason why, and we're not seeing that. So like, I don't know why we can't reserve our frustration with the dad until we get that information. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But that's something that just happens in the Boys Love series all the time. The animosity towards a character, ignoring what the show is showing us or what the show isn't showing us. There's lots of more things that are not being told or not being said, not being shown, and we're it's. And I understand we have like scenarios where we kind of make up what we think was going to happen next, but we have like this wholehearted opinion based on very little information, and I think that's odd to me. And it's frustrating that the show gives us very little plot, very little character development, very little tangible growth. It's very minuscule. We're actually filling the blanks ourselves. We're actually just fanficking our whole way through, and that's Boys Love as a whole. I guess there's not, especially the Thai ones. They be really doing nothing, and we just fill in the blanks, and it's okay because the boys are hanging out, flirting, touching, and falling in love based on nothing. We barely get to know them. Despite them being around each other so much, we barely get to know much about the characters. Yeah, there are a certain archetype, and people love enemies to lovers, so they kind of project what they think this character is, so they kind of like ignore that the show isn't really doing anything with the characters. And I'm saying I need like a deep, enthralled backstory for all the characters and kind of, but even that backstory, the whole umbrella thing and the mom, they've hinted at it, but we're not doing nothing with it. We're wasting time instead of telling interesting stories about these characters. And even the side characters, the Otto in them, and then Homeboy's friends, their little side hijinks don't amount to nothing. We don't know about them. They get their own scenes plenty of times. They get their own scenes, but we don't know nothing about these characters, about their lives, what they're doing, how they met their friends, why they're friends in the first place. These are easy ways to fill in. And we've seen that in My Secret Love. My Secret Love was perfect at balancing out a big cast, clearly main characters, main couple, but then the other ones get spotlight, get things to do, friendship storylines, personal, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this type of show doesn't fly with me when we know we can get more compelling narratives, better written characters, better directed series. Like, I don't understand how we land on this kind of fluff all the time and just live our best life like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I know it's just an opinion. I understand you. Anyone can like this type of show, but what I don't understand is no one can answer my questions. When I bring up we wasted time and did nothing, no one, crickets, and understandably so. What you gonna say? Oh, it was cute, it was funny, it was a waste of time. So when we get to the point where there's like really some conflict plot, you have such a hard stance when we wasted so much time to get to here. There's no way for you to feel one way or the other because there's not enough evidence to support that beyond you just liking the main characters and they see the other person as an antagonist. So, thank you for watching the first episode of this Minisode. Sorry if I got too aggressive and deep. I just thought I wanted to kind of get into nitty gritty of that, and I just had frustrations. You can even see my face during that live. I was kind of like, I guess because I don't like the show, and I'm not seeing everyone's so like intensely honing on this like, admittedly so, more prevalent plot point, but like I said, there's nothing to support any of this animosity or any think pieces on that because they're not. So in conclusion, people who like boys love kind of go where the narrative takes them without questioning things and without having the backing to really justify feeling one way or the other. I find that odd. I find that odd. So yeah, let me know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching this. Like I said, I'll do more of these mini-sodes before I start the actual factual podcast. So give me some talking points. Give me some points of views. Let me know how you feel. Follow me on social media. It's all links below. Shop my apparel, linked below. And I will see y'all in the next one.